Well, we were only a small group of 16 young ladies taken from around the countryside. So it was interesting for me, coming from the country, a small place called New Mills with 5,000 of a population, where it was lace making there and also farming. And so I had to get on a bus at 7:20 in the morning to take me up to Glasgow and then get a tram. So we went on a rickety tram right up to the Western Infirmary, which now, of course, there's no infirmaries, they're all hospitals, aren't they, or places, but the infirmary was where we went, and it was right across from the university. And that, in its turn, was across from Kelvin Hall, where we had the art gallery. So this was all part of our training, in a way. We went, the university lecturers would come and teach us basic things, anatomy, etc., and we could go up there and look in their wonderful museum that they had, of all sorts of things that we'd never heard of or seen. And of course, for leisure, we could go to the art gallery where we saw Salvador Dali's painting, which had just arrived in, of the Christ and the cross. So that carried us through certain things. It was a good mixture. We had a dancing teacher who helped us with phys ed, and another lady who had done Swedish remedial exercises. So that put me in touch with occupational health, because from there on in she used to talk about being in Sweden and Norway, and I wanted to go there and learn about occupational health and what I felt that's where my role would be. So we were quite inspired by these people. We used to be in the outpatients department, so we were surrounded by activities going on with physiotherapy. We could go and watch the physiotherapists working on their patients. We would go into the wards, 30 people in a ward. And in the men's ward, well, all the bedclothes have to come down and we'd have to start going on and get, you can imagine what it would be like going into the male orthopaedic ward as youngsters. But, that was a bit of fun. So we learned how to deal with people in certain ways and also give them their exercises. And that was pretty good. And the other thing we did was that I don't think they learn that now. We did electrolysis. Some of the operators, the physios, practiced electrolysis, and I did that. I really enjoyed that. And my first lady I think I had steel needles instead of the silver needles for electrolysis for facial hair. And I had it on the steel needles, and I could see I wasn't pulling out the root, and little black dots were coming. And afterwards I looked it up. If you use steel needles, it's like a tattoo. So that poor lady will probably have black marks in her face to this day. Anyway, that was a lesson to learn again. And these things, somehow we had the opportunities to learn while we were still studying, because we were surrounded with people who were practicing. We didn't go out to other hospitals. It was all, the Western Infirmary was one of these biggest hospitals you could get for orthopaedics and neurology, and across the road you had the Children's Hospital, which I think is still there. It was male teachers. 3 male teachers were the main teachers, which was again interesting. They'd been in the Navy and the Army, and so they had quite a story to tell themselves. I left home at 7:20 in the morning to get up to Glasgow for 8:30 to get the tram up there. So it was a long day, and rather than come back there was only 2 buses, 6:15, 5:15, 6:15 at night. I waited till 9:30 and went to the Mitchell Library to study. And so we did have quite a long day, but access to very many good books. The Mitchell Library had everything, and we could go up to the medical library as well. But that was fine. Dark nights, dark winter nights. Good time to see your boyfriends and double-decker buses. You could sit upstairs with them on the way back, but don't repeat that one. Anyway, but there was lots of students going up there, and it was really good. So that's, in a way though, if they had been flatting in Glasgow, well, you would have had more of a social life, I suppose, but it was good the way it was. Back to the training, yes, it was thoroughly, I could see it's anatomy and physiology to begin with. And that would be for the first 6 months, carrying on through, but then we'd be starting with exercise therapy and always having Papa Rete to teach us the massage. And it was really good. He had a good way with him. And I think we appreciated what people appreciated from massage. You learned to palpate and feel things. That, I think, was the biggest asset from that. Papa Rete was the teacher of massage and also anatomy. And he grew up in an orphanage in Glasgow from the age of 5, and then he went to joined the Navy when he was 15, and went to the war. And it could have been this. No, there would be the Second World War he would be in. And he came back and started to, got the job at the physio school. He went to train as a physiotherapist and did that. And he was one of the kindest persons I think I'd ever met. He had a great time for everybody and made us feel at home and at ease with what we did. And his lovely thing was he had while he was in the Navy, he had 2 little lovebirds, one on each, one between the thumb and the index finger of each hand. And we had to follow his lovebirds as they went across whatever area he was treating. We never forget that. And when we had a reunion in '97 in Glasgow, in fact, we were all talking about him, and 2 of us went to visit him, and he was so pleased to see us after all these years. So still playing bowls, doing his paintings just the same. And you'll see, I took a photograph and you can still see those lovebirds, which in fact, when I used to teach physiotherapy in Auckland, where we were before, over the old school, I used to tell the students about this and that story. And when I saw Paparetti, I says, your techniques are being used in New Zealand. They've passed all around the country, all around the world, because they've just worked on people very well. And so that was about him. It was nice. It shows you how people influence you in your lives.